quickly move to Dangerous.
Interesting album from Michael. Interesting. Some good, some bad.
This is an album.
Another money grab from Motown, by the way, interceded. But continue, please.
I'll say this: this is an album at the time I loved, and I still love.
Yeah, I do too.
Ranked it. I ranked it higher than I expected. But there is a very, very passionate fan base online that thinks that this is the best thing he's ever done.
I'll say this: my favorite song is on this album. My favorite Michael song is on this album. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on to it. Yeah. But go ahead, Ed.
I think the reason why, I think nostalgia always plays into some things, and there is a generation that this is their introduction to Michael, early 90s. So I get that. But I also think for a subset, especially the readers of my site, is because of the New Jack influence. I think that's another thing that they were just cling to, because as I have said, and I get raked across the coals for it all the time, New Jack had its day, but I got so sick of it so quick. This is one of the last New Jack Swing albums to me that really resonates. I
love New Jack Swing, to be honest with you. I love it. That's my favorite era of R&B just because that's my earliest memories of it.
Yeah, I like it, but I get in trouble, but I compare it to trap today. It is a sound that they ran into the ground.
Oh, man.
The same. Listen to the songs at that era. They all sound the same.
I don't know if I can go that
far. They ran it in the ground.
Where you at, Ed?
Yeah, he did. I know I was going to get him.
Oh, no. Say it ain't so.
I love it, but I feel like it was past when it died. It was time for it to go. We were.
What's funny? I felt that about disco. When I listen to disco, I kind of feel that disco's like the trap, because I feel like disco was kind of like that in the late 70s. It just ran into the ground.
I feel like all three of us cut from the same.
Disco overstayed its welcome in a way that New Jack Swing didn't.
Yeah, New Jack.
Like Ethel Merman cutting disco records, you've got a serious problem.
Oh yeah, I will say that got. It didn't get to Ethel Merman bad, but it died right when it needed to die.
Say, take that back, bro.
It died when it needed to die, but by this time, I was so sick of New Jack Swing. So this album really reignited my interest in it. And then the next year we moved on.
Because it was Teddy Riley who's the original sound anyway.
Right. Yeah. And that's why it works. And it's not these clones doing
it. Yeah. I was about to talk. I'd rather hear you talk. Go ahead, Dre. I'll talk.
No, I was just saying, Teddy Riley was all over this, this album. And to this day, this is when I was about 6 or 7. So at this time, my memory was as clear as day, I remember when the hype around this album coming out, me and my cousins were really excited about this one because we had already learned about Thriller and I'm Bad and all that stuff. So we were super hyped for this, and it didn't disappoint, especially as a kid. Being able to see Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan in a music video together was as great as it got. You know what I mean? With Jam, the song itself is, but still, Michael and Michael together. That's iconic right there. You know what I mean?
That's a really big deal. I think that, again, just kind of goes over people's heads. But these are the two biggest pop icons at that time doing something together. This is huge.
The only thing that would have put over the top is having Bill Cosby standing in the background with Jello pudding pops or something like that. You know what I mean?
At the time,
that time,
it wouldn't have aged well, but
right. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying, though. Yeah, so that's kind of what that was, for
me.
There's
a disclaimer next to your head, Dre. Continue.
Yeah, because around this time I was starting to get into basketball a little bit. I knew who Magic and Jordan were. They had just come off. I think Jordan had just won his second championship or whatever, so he's at the top of the world. Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? So seeing him in the music video together was like the biggest markout moment for me. You know what I mean? Before I even knew what that meant. So, but this album does hold a special place in my heart because my favorite Michael song and favorite Michael video was on this. Do you remember the time? Do you remember the time? I love that song to death, man. And I've always had this fascination with ancient Egypt. So when I got this, seeing Murphy and them dressed as pharaohs and all that stuff, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And even to this day, I still love that video. So
for me, Dangerous is you guys have been so nice. Dangerous is the very beginnings of when it starts to fall apart.
Yeah, I see that. I definitely agree with that.
It's so long. The album, if any album ever needed an editor, it's this one. It's overly long.
The songs are like 6 or 7 minutes or something like that.
It's just that there are so many of them.
Yeah.
Like I remember I had the cassette at the time. It's like 14 tunes on the thing. And you're right. Like Dangerous itself is like, I'm cheating now. Dangerous is like 7 minutes long. Heal the World.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
It's like 6:25. In the Closet is 6:32. Like these are not. There's nothing under 4 minutes. Everything is over 4 minutes. The record needed an editor worse than I can tell you. Every song had an intro that went on for a million years.
Mm-hmm.
It just, thank goodness for radio edits. Like, I mean, Black or White is entirely too long. The intro is ridiculous. Eat this. No, I'd rather not.
That was Macaulay Culkin, right?
It was.
Yes.
Well, see, that's another thing too, man. Macaulay Culkin was like the biggest, not only just the biggest child star in the world, but he was probably one of the biggest actors in the world. So I mean,
I know why, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
But that might be why that album holds such a special place in my heart. Because like I remember I loved Home Alone
because of Macaulay Culkin.
Well, no, but not just that. But as a kid, I loved Home Alone. Like I said, Michael Jordan. And I wasn't Heavy D in one of those songs too. I liked Heavy D back in the day.
Jam. He was on.
Yeah. So like I never, even as a 7-year-old, I knew who those people were. So seeing all that to come together, I thought as a kid was really cool to me. But as I look back on it now, having listened to Michael's other albums or his prior albums, I do agree with you guys that this album doesn't age as well as those other ones. Even though I still think it's a solid album, it's just not as good. It's not a masterpiece, is what I'm saying.
No, it's not. It's really not. It's got problems. This record's got problems. I mean, we talked about that's its own separate thing. But in terms of, I mean, it sonically sounds really good. I mean, by this point, I don't know if this is going to make sense or not, but by this point, Bruce Swedien was using the Acusonic D process to record with. Yeah. So he was recording basically every instrument or any percussive element was recorded in stereo pairs. Yeah. Which made the record sound absolutely gigantic. And because we were entering the era of digital tape recorder, we weren't stuck with 24 tracks anymore, like we had been with the other records that we talked about. Now there could be 48. And because there could be 48 tracks, you had room to play. There was lots of room to play. We'll ignore for a second the fact that everybody had used dash tape back then, how horrible that stuff was, and the fact that it didn't stand the test of time very well. That's a discussion for another time, I suppose. But it was that tape is a technical disaster to work with, and most dash tape that was recorded back then simply hasn't survived. If they didn't dub it over, it didn't survive. Yeah, because you figure I'll do it anyway. When you're dealing with regular audio tape, regular 2-inch, and it begins to degrade, the sound is still there. It's just degraded sound until you bake the tape. You can get the whole thing back, but you cannot get back digital tape. If the oxide starts to come off the tape, that sound you've lost. It's digital zeros and ones. You've lost the sound. There's no way back from that. If the tape degrades, it's completely over. There's no fixing it. Dash tape was a disaster. Of course, they've got all the information off the dash tape by this point. Everything's fine. But if you didn't, it's over. I've had people send me projects that were on dash. It's like I can't do anything with it. The tape's ruined. There's nothing. Dang. It's gone. Yeah. So it was a mistake. But no one knew it at the time. It was only discovered later. But as a result of that tape, we ended up with 48 tracks. These Mitsubishi recorders could record in 48 instead of just 24. There's more room to play, so the Acusonic process could exist. They sort of did it on Thriller too, but on Thriller, they had two 24-track machines synced together with SMPTE. So they could have as much room there as they needed, and they could sort of kind of do like a takeoff of that same technique, which is what makes Thriller sound as big as it does. Yeah. But if you notice, and I mean, to my ears anyway, Dangerous sounds absolutely huge. And that's why, because they had 48 tracks to play with. And the way that Bruce was recording, it just made it sound gigantic. I mean, the intro to all of these tunes, for all their uselessness, they all sound like big, giant, monumental statements. Purely because of the way they were recorded. I mean, this is for all of its stretched outness, it's a very well recorded album. Bruce, probably some of Bruce's best work that's not The Dude by Quincy Jones, which is, to me, one of the best sounding albums that's ever been released. Certainly the best thing he ever had anything to do with. And we're in Steely Dan territory on that record for sure. But this one has no apologies to make sonically at all. And I think it sounds, it's too big. There's too much of it. But what is there sounds absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's it. And kind of that's my point with this album. Is one that I liked then. I've grown to appreciate a little bit more now today. But the only thing that kicks it back is your point, is too much of it. And I'm a guy, I love my albums succinct, tight. That's why I don't like these 45 track albums that we get today.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much, and it just takes
too much filler.
Experience. Yeah.
A great album lives here. If they just would have edited it down, they would have found it.
And I give it props, because there's only one or two songs I just straight up don't like, and we'll get to that later on. There's reasons for that. But every song is good. It just needs a little bit of weight loss, and we'll be okay.
Yeah. There's about 4 songs I can think of now that you can probably get rid of, that, you know, you can make this a 10 song album, and it's perfect, you know.
Yeah. And the money they would have saved on royalties in the process. Of course, it's Michael Jackson. Who cares? But, you know,
Mike
that's why
good.
records were only 10 tracks mostly.
I got a question though. Do you guys think that Michael should have had Quincy be involved more with this album? Because I don't think Quincy's on this album at all, is he?
No.
You think he should have been involved at
he
some
wasn't
point?
done. I don't think he should have been. I think that was done. They took that union as far as they could take it.
I guess you're right. 91,
Same Ed or different or
no, I agree. And I thought that the Riley pairing was kind of genius, because he was someone who could give him a fresh sound. And
he was that guy back then.
Yeah, but again, he was the originator of that sound. So we are talking about someone who's third and fourth and fifth removed, doing kind of watered down New Jack Swing. Don't get me back on my New Jack Swing high horse, but
here he goes.
We were going to the originator, so you're getting the best of the best. And what we got was pretty good. It was just a little too long.
Yeah,
it was definitely too long. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That pairing went as far as it could go. And I mean, even by the time you get into Bad, you're hearing a lot more Michael Jackson than you are Quincy. So it's like the balance of power was already beginning to shift as it was.
Yeah.
So when you get to Dangerous, it's like Teddy Riley. I never would have thought of that. Like whoever came up with that idea, whether it was Michael or somebody at the label or whomever, or Teddy approaching him, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I bet you it was Michael. I think it was Michael approaching Teddy.
I could probably imagine. I've heard the interview with Teddy a couple of times. I think it was Michael.
It's that's so right, though.
That's one thing about Michael, though. Michael's always been really good at. Michael pays attention to what's going on in music outside of him. Like he was, like, you know, like I heard stories. Michael was a big hip hop fan as well. Like he paid attention, you know, sometimes at what was going on.
He did. He definitely did. But this did not always work in his favor. We are getting there.
You know what I think would have been better? If you would have split it, let's say you have Teddy Riley do a few songs and you maybe have Babyface do a few songs. I wonder what that would have sounded like, but maybe if you would have did something like that, who knows, you know? Yeah.
That could have been interesting. And I mean, frankly, I'm cheating again, but there's really no need for any of us to cheat on this one. But Teddy Riley did a lot of it, but he wasn't the only one involved. Like Bill Bottrell is on a lot of it. That got us Black or White, and it got us Who Is It and Give In To Me, which I'm cheating and looking at now.
Yeah. And
Bruce Swedien did a couple of co-productions with him too, which gets some of the other things that we don't like. But probably all 4 of the ones you'd throw away were of that ilk. But yeah, it's pairing him with Teddy Riley is nothing I would have thought of, and yet it's absolutely genius. It's so
great. Yeah, I mean he was producing everything anyway around that time, so. Yeah,
he was, but he did a Michael thing here. He didn't just bring his thing. He brought his thing in, but his thing here has more muscle and more guts.
Yeah,
because Michael does.
Yeah,
it's a different. It is Teddy. It's very much Teddy, but it's Teddy for Michael.
Right.
So it's like you can hear Michael's influence on the production, even though Teddy is clearly, you know, driving quite a bit of it. So so 14 tunes. If you had to pick one, Ed.
This one is easy. Like the best and worst is easy on this one. So best for sure, Remember the Time. I remember. See, I don't know if y'all remember this because his Michael's videos were pretty big. They were like, they would debut on primetime TV.
Yes.
And this
All
one
of them.
debuted,
That's
I
another
think
thing.
it was
Yes.
after Fresh Prince. It was like after
Yeah,
that.
It was.
Yes,
And it
sir.
was like, there's going to be, and it was this huge thing. And this is the only time this has ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
Every member of my family, my mom, my dad, me, and my brother, all sat in the living room, watched this video together. I can't explain to someone today how powerful that is, because
nobody does that.
Y'all can get hyped on Beyonce on the glass horse and like, oh, it's gonna be the best thing ever, and it might be, but to bring families together to watch one video,
a music video,
not happen anymore.
On network television in prime time.
Yes, this is prime time TV. This isn't just something that's like going to be on TikTok for 2 seconds. It was a huge deal, and it absolutely delivered up to the hype. We were captivated by it.
Black and White was the same way. That also debuted the same way under the same circumstances.
It sure did. Now, I didn't like Black and White as much, because even then I was like, this is some weird stuff.
Well, there was a thing that he did in Black and White that got him in trouble, because wasn't he like trashing the car and doing all kind of crazy stuff? And
it just makes me think of the In Living Color skit, that the In Living Color parody. Where
I remember this.
That's what it makes me think about. They could never get away with that today.
Yeah, he took that a little bit too far with that music. I get what he was trying to get at.
I'm a little Caucasian, Dre. He took that way too far.
He did. I mean, I get what he was trying to convey. I get what he was trying to convey, but it just didn't. It didn't land at all, man.
No. He was trying to convey outrage, and you said it earlier. Like, why was nobody going, Michael?
Who's gonna tell Mike no? Who's gonna tell him no?
But he got it right. But he definitely got it right with Remember the Time, though. He definitely got it right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy. I mean, oh man,
it's completely ridiculous, but I love every second of it.
Yeah.
Who thinks of this? Like,
yes, I'm gonna spin and turn to sand. Like, it is so dumb, but it's so incredible.
Like, he became Lot's wife. Like,
Oh my goodness, man.
Who thinks of this? But it's genius all the same. Like, you don't care. Like, it's just it's so good. Okay, so your favorite is Remember the Time.
Easy.
Love this camera. Okay, so Dre, yours. I know what you're gonna say.
What, my song that I like the most?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, remember? Yeah, I already said it earlier.
Thank you.
Yeah, Remember the Time easily. I mean, that's probably my favorite Michael song of all time. It's either that or PYT or Rock With Me. But yeah, Remember the Time.
PYT appears on this album too.
No, it does. I'm just saying
it's been on many albums today.
It's my top 3. It's up there. It's up there with those two. I love everything about it. I love the way he sings it. I just love the harmony. I love the production. I love the music video. Like there isn't a thing about the song I don't like. I love it. And that's also the first time. I mean, at least that I ever saw like Pharaoh's portrayed as Black people, like seeing Eddie Murphy as Pharaoh and all that stuff. I had never seen that before, because I remember seeing the 10 Commandments, prior to this, and then seeing Eddie Murphy as the Pharaoh. I thought that was pretty cool. I had never seen that before. So, yeah.
Okay, so 2 votes for Remember the Time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the one who breaks it up.
All right. You would do that.
This is actually kind of difficult for me because I do like that. I love that song.
Yeah.
Just the end of it. Do you remember? Like, just the fury of it is just, he's just giving it. He's way up there vocally, just killing it, absolutely killing it. And apparently that was just all done in one take. Apparently there is.
I can see that. Like an ad lib. Yeah.
He's just an incredible singer. He gets slept on as a singer and he shouldn't. So it's hard not to pick that one. But I'm not going to, because not even just to spice it up, but because I really feel like there is a better song here. And it gets buried because it's kind of at the end of the record and it gets forgotten about, but I'm going
I know what you're going to say.
You say gone too, you say.
I'm going Keep the Faith.
Yep. I knew you were going to do Keep the Faith.
Okay. It's such a great song. It's at the end. I had to fight with the cassette to get there because the album's so long. Like, what is this? And it just took me lock, stock, and barrel with it. It's another Glenn Ballard, Saida Garrett thing, the same people that wrote Man in the Mirror. It's kind of along the same path, but it just, as a production, it's just fantastic. And the Andre Crouch choir is brilliant.
Yeah.
His vocal is insane. I mean, it just doesn't quit. I love the synth bass in it, the groove of it. The drum machine is just perfect. Like that's the one Bruce Swedien co-production that really gets it right. And I think if I have to pick one, I don't pick this easily ahead of Remember the Time, but I do pick it ahead of Remember the Time just for all those reasons. It's
fair
just
enough.
such a great song.
Not mad at it.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Such a great song. And it's just buried in between songs that don't need to be there. Okay, worst one.
Speaking of songs that don't need to be here,
Mm-hmm.
Heal the World.
Yeah, that's got to go.
My wife calls them, what did she call them? Save the World songs. Like she cannot stand like these.
You Are the World.
Yes, We Are the World, like big song. I feel you, Mike. I think Mike said this was like one of his favorite songs.
He felt
I feel
it.
you.
Yeah.
And I understand the sentiment.
Me too.
But
he did
bro,
feel it. And it feels as if it was real to him. It doesn't feel hack.
It doesn't, but I'm good. I don't want to hear it. It breaks
Yeah.
up the flow of the album. I'm not with it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You're right. What do you think, Dre?
I was gonna say Heal the World, but that's so obvious.
It is, but there's others that are obvious.
Yeah, there are a couple others.
I think was it In the Closet or Who Is It? But
really? You're going there?
But either though, I don't really care for either of those two songs.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
You were going there.
There's about like 4 or 5 songs I could do without on this album, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'll say both of those were two that I didn't like very much at the time, but I kind of like them now.
Do you? I
too. I feel better about
I still can't really, I don't know. I just neither one of them really did it for me. Dangerous is another one that I think, go ahead and get rid of.
It's like it's already there. Yeah.
Yeah, so but either of those 3 songs, I'm just kind of like, I could do without,
Okay.
So
that's fair.
Yeah.
So worst song. This is actually kind of difficult because there's some real garbage on this record. I'm just keeping it real because my gosh, Black or White is my first instinct because it's just terrible. The lyric is just, what are you doing?
Corny. It's corny.
It's corny.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It came at I get why he did it though. It came at a time, the Rodney King thing was going on.
I know.
There was a lot of stuff going on, so I get why he did what he did. But yeah, it is.
It's just there's a better way to do it. Like to have these.
I did like the video of
when you saw you kicking dirt in my eye. Shut up.
The only thing I remember that I liked was the music video when the people were turning into different people. I thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't. I hated that. I was creeped out by it. It was like more from X-Men. Like it's why are you doing
that? Was a multi-million-dollar effect, by the way.
Oh, that was
very expensive.
That was Tara Bench's first video, wasn't it? One of her first major exposures, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
Tyra was in it.
Yeah.
That was John Landis again, too. Movie maker John Landis spending millions of dollars on a short film.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I love that effect. The song the intro is just turn it off. I really wish you
pounded on the door. Yeah.
Yes. I want to hear the song. Turn it off. Shut up. No, just so much no.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
this is the best part.
I want to hear the song. Turn it off. It's so bad. It's so terrible. Just why? Eat this. Just why? So many mistakes.
Oh man.
So that's way up there for sure.
Yeah.
Will You Be There?
I don't remember that song. I don't even remember that.
Of course you don't.
I like Will You Be There?
I have to go back and listen to that one.
There.
I don't remember that one, so I have to go back and listen to that one. To be honest with you, I can't.
There.
Yeah.
He did it better later. I mean, that same concept with many of the same chord changes actually showed up on History in a better form, I think. I don't hate it. It just, and that shouldn't be on a Michael Jackson record. Songs that make it go like this don't belong in Michael Jackson records. But then there's, this is difficult because there are others. Dangerous is we had it already.
Yeah.
But it's for me, I have to agree here with Ed. Think of the children and our children's children.
Oh.
Yeah, that's horrible, man.
Better place. I just think that We could make this a better play. What are you even saying?
You know what?
I'm so good. You know what though? I'm really glad nobody picked Gone Too Soon. I'm glad nobody picked that. I was afraid one of you might, and I'm glad nobody touched it.
Honestly, I don't really remember much. I have to go back and
You
listen to
don't
that
remember that song?
one. I have to go back and listen to it again. Yeah, I don't really remember that
Right.
much.
No, that song's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think it is too. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful song, and he wrote it for Ryan.
And you know what it is? I don't really go back
Right.
and listen to the album very often. I don't listen to Dangerous a lot very often anymore.
Yeah.
So I have to
Okay.
go back. I have to go back and take a look at it again because
It's hiding at the end of the record, but it's a Larry Grossman, Buzz Cohen thing.
so
Buzz Cohen
is it right before Dangerous?
Yes.
What's that?
Is it right before Dangerous?
Yes.
Yeah, it's right before
Yeah.
Dangerous. It's a beautiful tune. It really is.